First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Brian Miller, Assemblyman Brian Miller knew the answer to that. Didn't you, Brian?
Absolutely. I think that was vintage 75, Bill.
I know, you may be right. You may very well be right.
I was thinking of using that as a campaign song, like You and Me Can Change Albany.
We can change Albany. Although, can you change Albany, Brian? You hear so many stories of people heading off to Albany to change the world and then realizing it's so difficult to change. I mean,
they realize they're a Republican in the minority.
Look at where we are right now. It's just craziness.
Oh, absolutely. Change Albany. Albany is changing. There's, as we all know, there's a big progressive movement.
Yeah.
Being in the minority and the Republican side, I think there's some of the Democrats in the majority who become part of the minority by the new progressive movement there in Albany. So what you're saying is, for some Democrats, it's become too progressive for them to even they have to plug their nose there or even come to the other side. Oh, absolutely. You saw it during the budget votes this year. There were, it just wasn't 103 to or 107 to 43. There were a lot of votes to the negative. So it was a very interesting budget year.
So I want to ask right off the bat on this. Do you think that the legislature is going to be able to put something together that's going to appease Native American organizations like the United Indian Nation when it comes to avoiding a violation of the settlement?
I certainly hope so. That gaming compact with the sports betting.
Yeah,
I hope so. There's going to be some negotiation coming out of this. I know we're pushing pretty hard to get this all straightened around before it gets too far out of hand. The host communities, United County, Madison County, and the state, there could be a lot of revenue for us to lose.
Yeah.
Is the state's thought process? We give up $70 million, but I believe that includes the local payments to local governments. So we lose $50 to $70 million, but in exchange, we get, $350 million, $250 million.
Well, I hope they're not doing that because we wouldn't see any of that.
We wouldn't. And also you have to keep in mind, too, the 50 to 70 million is Oneida Indian Nation alone. That's not all the tribes in the state.
Right.
That's just
Right.
one.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I'm just wondering why they would.
My guess is they're going to try to put something together that will that'll work for the United Indian Nation and the other Native American tribes out there.
Well, that's my hope too. I'm sure we could do that. I'm sure we're going to go down that road. We just can't lose that revenue, and locally we can't lose that revenue.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So that's something we're going to have to work on. I know the Senator's working on it, and we all are. And let's see where it takes us. It's going to take us in the right direction.
But how do you feel about the budget in general?
Well, with a $212 billion budget, it's the biggest in history here. Up $35 billion from last year. Of course, there were some good things in there, but there was a lot of spending that coming off, trying to close out the pandemic. Maybe we can't afford it, but there's money in there for the roads. The CHIPS money's been up the first time in many, many years. There's more aid to the schools, but there's also more taxes there. And we needed to be conservative this year. We got a $12.6 billion one-shot deal from the federal government, rescue funds to get us through this pandemic, but a lot of unnecessary spending. Maybe we could have pushed that out, but, we talked about the progressive movement in the state, and these are the things that the majority of the legislature wanted to do, and, it just wasn't that.
Yeah, there's nobody to stop them anymore. That's the problem. What about the governor and all of these accusations?
Well, this has been going on for for many weeks, and we, every couple of days there's a new accuser out there. I think the governor's lost his way, and I've come out before, and I think the governor should resign. We got our commission in the assembly looking at the impeachment process here. Should he go? Absolutely. He's got a lot of things to run the state, and I just don't think he can keep his mind on it. I think a lot of the budget negotiation was negotiated on a weak governor here. So that's my feelings on it.
And then the final biggie is the legalization of marijuana. It's still somewhat ambiguous as to how all of this thing gets rolled out. No pun intended.
Rolled out. As you guys know, I voted no on that for the obvious reasons. Law enforcement, we just can't take care of it. How is it going to get rolled out, guys? It's a good question. We're looking at 18 months here, and I don't really believe that the projected revenue is going to be what they say it is. I think we're going to have a lot of problems. If you look at California and Colorado and some of the states the other 14 states that have legalized. Of course, New Jersey hasn't opened up sales yet, but the projected revenues just aren't there.
Right.
And there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of traffic issues, and was it a good thing to do? My district goes from here all the way down to 60 miles north of New York City, and the Hudson Valley was much in favor for it. And as you came north into Delaware County and Otsego County up here in the Mohawk Valley, it was leaning towards not legalizing it. So, it was a tough vote for us.
And then finally, if you could, I know that you were one of the early cases of COVID-19. Hard to believe it was a year ago, Brian, that you were hospitalized, and it was touch and go for a while for you. As you described on this program, shortly thereafter, you literally had to learn how to walk again. Are you fully recovered, or do you still have lingering effects like so many are reporting?
Well, it was a year ago today they took me off the ventilator.
Wow.
So I'm celebrating not only my birthday today, but
I didn't know that either. Happy birthday! That's awesome.
Well, thank you. But coming off the ventilator last April 9th, am I fully recovered? We're walking, we're exercising. I had to have another procedure this year during 3 or 4, 8 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But we're recovering from that, and there's still some lingering effects. My lungs are probably going to be a little damaged for the rest of my life, but there's nothing that I can't handle. I still don't have my good sense of smell back.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? And my wife is in the same. I mean, she had it in December. Still doesn't have smell.
I'm a coffee drinker. Love coffee. Love that smell of the coffee first thing in the morning. But coffee still smells like bad chicken soup when you're brewing it.
Isn't that unbelievable? And it's funny because I have another friend that had it in March, and I spoke with him 3-4 weeks ago. Still hasn't gotten that back. You wonder. We don't know, right? I mean, this is new. So we don't know. They can say it's going to come back, but I guess you don't know.
Well, it's been a year now for me, and I'm starting to think that this is the way it's going to be. I haven't tried any of the home remedies you guys were talking about on the show.
Well,
with oranges or any of that jazz.
And can I tell you, that worked for my wife. It worked for a few days, and then it went right back to not being able to smell. So now for me, Brian. If you ask the average woman, men are just smelly in general. So it just completely allows me many, many opportunities in my household because I never lost my sense of smell. So,
but everything's going good. Just tell everybody to get out there and get their vaccines. I got my first dose of Pfizer 2.5 weeks ago, waiting for my second.
Yep, I'm in the same boat. Yep. Did you have any side effects, Brian?
I had a sore arm. That was about it.
Yep, me too.
But a lot of people. I know a lot of the staff down in the Capitol got the Johnson and Johnson, and I came in the day after a lot of them received it, and they were complaining of upset stomach and whatever. And of course, didn't have much sympathy for them. I said, well, that's a lot. That's not as bad as getting a full blown case of COVID. So
boy, that's the thing that you can tell. I mean, I can tell my story, and I was sick for 5 days and didn't want to get out of bed and couldn't get out of bed. But nothing. I mean, I was a cakewalk compared to what you went through. And you're living proof that it doesn't discriminate. It can just hit somebody and hit them so hard that, boy, it's really amazing. And you're able to tell the story that I've recovered from this and gotten the vaccine. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and in the end, this afternoon, I'm going to go back over to the ICU where I spent over a month in, and I'm going to thank them for taking care of me, being part of my family, and basically saving my life. Wow. Well, that's today's thing. But just back on the budget for one quick second. I'm really glad we got some more money in there for education in the schools. Coming off pandemic, school funding was up, is up, and we talked about this with just about everybody. I got a 16-year-old at home; he's a junior. Their learning has been very difficult, if not at all, in a lot of cases. And I'm glad we were able to fund up the funding for the schools. I don't want our kids to be known as the COVID generation and be studied 100 years from now. So that was a big plus for us.
I agree. I think that, it's easy to criticize looking out from the outside looking in, but just schools alone, the extra money they had to come up with to be able to pay for maneuvering through the obstacle course that was created by the state, for them to actually find a way to reopen was just, and ultimately it's going to cost us all. This extra money will help in that regard because we'd be the ones paying for it. Taxpayers would be paying for it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you talked about it that way because all the cleaning costs, all the extra transportation costs. Just to go in a hybrid model, and all the kids I believe are going to be going back next week, and that's going to be a good thing for us. It's going to be a challenge for the schools, and hopefully this little spike that we're seeing in the COVID cases goes back down. And,
I agree.
They can get back.
Manaski.
I'll just mention when we were talking about gaming earlier, somebody mentioned to me, because I had used the term tribe, that it is considered by some to be a slur. I did not mean it in an offensive way. I just meant I said other tribes in the state. I just meant the other Indian nations.
I said tribe too. Is that not appropriate?
I was told that, but to some it's very offensive.
Really?
So, and I didn't mean it that way, and I just figured I'd mention it because we were talking with Brian Miller about it earlier.
Well, it's been nice working with you, Jeff.
Oh, Brian, you just got to love coming on this show. Oh, boy.
I've been canceled. Actually, I think I was canceled about 2 months ago. Every time I say something that's halfway intelligent, Andrew gets the credit.
Well, it's not too often, so don't worry about
it. I'll let these two go at it, Brian. Listen.
Yeah, that's... I know every morning I listen to you guys when I'm doing my laps around my yard. So it's always a good chuckle.
All right, we appreciate it. And Brian, happy birthday. And even more importantly, that you're celebrating a birthday a year after being taken off the ventilator and that you're doing well. We're really so happy for that.
Well, thank you, guys.
All right, you have a great day. Keep the fight going there. Thank you. That's Assemblyman Brian Miller. And, man, he went through a terrible run a year ago.